Hello! This week's Money Mindset Challenge is going to actually be taken from this beautiful book called Money, a Love Story by Kate Northrup. I've read it several times and it's filled with amazing journaling prompts to help you with your money mindset and relationship to money. Highly recommend the book. But one of the first things she recommends in the book that I've done, and it is so powerful, is to really write out your money story. So this is really to bring awareness to your story and connect to it and really turn it into an empowering story around, your money beliefs and how you grew up thinking and feeling about money. So what you're going to do is give yourself 20 to 30 minutes to journal. And I want you to sit down, close your eyes, maybe just reflect on your very first money memory. What was that for you? Very first time you realized, oh, money, that's what money is. Money's a thing. Who was with you? How did you feel about money? What was going on? And then I want you to fast forward to now and just start to write out all of those big money moments, big money memories, big things that maybe happened in your life that had to do with money or in your money beliefs. And this includes challenges. So you're going to write out anything that comes to mind, significant money moments and memories. And then the second part is I want you to also reframe some of the challenging moments. So if you can go back through and instead of it being so challenging, I want you to find like the silver lining in it and become the heroine, the hero of your story. And think about how that challenge with money actually has empowered you in some way now, present day, if you can. That's the goal. So I'm going to give you an example of this now. I'm going to share my money story a little bit with you that I wrote out. And I've done this several times and it's so good. There's always more stuff that comes up for me every time I do it. So growing up, I was raised by really a single mom, and my mom was the sole provider for me and my brother until he was about 12 and I was 5. So I grew up in that very beginning of my life with just my mom, and she didn't really get any financial support from anyone else. So she worked 2 jobs. We went from like a 1-bedroom apartment. I remember when we got a 2-bedroom apartment and then eventually a house when her and my dad ended up getting together, and he came into our lives at that point and helped support. But up until that time, it was just my mom. It was just my mom, me and my brother, and she worked so hard. I mean, 2 jobs. We had to always be in daycare. She had to pick us up, then make us dinner, then, put us to bed, then go back to work and do it all again at like 5 a.m. the next morning. She'd leave the house, and I saw my mom working so hard, and I saw her hustling. I saw her sacrifice a lot of her own health and her own happiness and her own well-being to really take care of us. And that gave me this like ingrained belief that we have to work very hard for money. That, to make good money and live this like comfortable middle class life that we did get to live, we have to work really hard for that. And this belief has come up for me so many times. There was many times in my life I was working multiple jobs and working way too much, way too hard to make, okay money. And now I've been able to shift that belief and make great money by not working so hard. But it's taken a lot of work, right? And something I want to appreciate right now about my mom and all she did in this journey that I went on as a child is that it did teach me to work really hard. Like, I do have a really strong work ethic from her, and I'm grateful for that. Another thing, silver lining, that this taught me, this experience, is just that I didn't want that like 9-to-5 job like my mom had in corporate. I wanted to go another route. I wanted to be a business owner. And part of what inspired that was just seeing how hard my mom worked and how unhappy she was. in this same job her whole life, and I didn't want that. So it actually inspired me to become an entrepreneur, like seeing her struggle and growing up with this. And it also inspired me to like crack the code on how can I work smarter, not harder. That's why I'm so passionate about, teaching photographers and people about scaling your business and making more money without having to work so hard. So it's actually brought a lot of positive things to my life. Years later, I had to really, deal with a lot of stress to get to this point because I would work really hard. Another thing about my story is we never talked about money as a family. I saw my mom and dad as a teenager like fighting about money. I heard it, it felt like there was never enough money. That was another belief that would come up is my mom, there was never enough money. We could never buy the really nice things. We always had enough stuff. We actually had an abundance of stuff. My parents loved to buy things on sale, but we never could afford like the really nice luxury stuff, right? We couldn't afford it. That's what I was told. We can't afford this. You can't get Abercrombie and Fitch. Remember when that was popular? I wanted an Abercrombie and Fitch, outfit and shirt so bad, but my mom was like, absolutely not. Like, we cannot afford this t-shirt, but we can go to Kmart and we can get you, or JCPenney, and we can get you like 3 or 4 t-shirts for the price of the one. So we'll do that. And so like, I just grew up feeling like I couldn't afford the luxury items. Like I couldn't have those things. Like that's not for me. That wasn't available for me. That was another belief that really came up and was really strong in my subconscious and just programmed. A lot of times, like this is why this exercise is so great because we're going to write things out. Sometimes we don't know that it's really within us because it's not in our logical mind. These beliefs, we don't know that we're feeling this way. We don't know that we have this deep feeling in our body that, we can never have that. We can never afford that. It's programmed in us from how we grew up. Like I said, my parents would fight about money. It would be just a constant source of stress, but I was never taught. We would never sit down as a family and talk about money and how to manage money. And my mom always would tell me like money's important. You need to make money. You need to save. You need to have a credit card you pay off. She would like communicate the importance of money, but nobody ever taught me about money. And my dad, it felt like money is something that I'm out of control with. So this was a belief I had for a long time, was that I'm out of control with my money. Like I can't manage my money well. And this showed up for me in my early 20s, early to mid 20s, is I would always be just like getting into debt and overspending and not managing. I would never save money. I would spend just as much as I made. And I didn't feel I was good with money. Like, I didn't feel I could manage money. At one point, I was probably $30,000. It was $30,000. I think more. Yeah. In credit card debt, like $30,000, mostly credit card debt. And that was scary because I realized in that point of my life, I was out of control with money. It's not just a belief I had. It was my reality. Like I couldn't control my money. I didn't know how to. The silver lining in that is that I one day just hit my breaking point. I didn't have a car. I was in debt. I couldn't pay my rent. And this is like my mid 20s. So I wasn't a kid anymore. I'd been on my own for a long time. And I had to ask my mom for money to pay my rent. And I remember that was just such a low point in my life because I had crashed my car. I had no money. I had to ask for help. And I was like, how am I ever going to get out of this? How am I ever going to like do everything I want to do in life and live my dreams and travel the world and one day buy a house? And like, I felt really defeated. I felt really like I didn't know how to, it caused a lot of anxiety for me at that time. I had an anxiety disorder and I had to go to therapy for anxiety. And a lot of it was caused by my relationship with money. I mean, everything's all related. but my relationship to money was causing me so much stress and anxiety. And it didn't have to be, because I actually made good money during this time. Like, I made a good amount of money, I just never managed it well. And so that low point really forced me to start doing things like reading books like this and doing this mindset work and diving into my relationship with money more, so that I could get control and feel really empowered, feel in control, feel aware with my money, and I could turn my story around. And so that's why I'm here today talking about money with you, because I've gone through quite a journey with my money that it has not always been fun. It's been very, very painful at times. And, now I'm proud to say I live pretty much debt free. I mean, I pay off my credit cards monthly, and I feel really good. I don't feel out of control with money ever anymore, but I still feel that I could be in better relationship at times with money, for sure. I go through my phases where I'm not as aware with my money, and I start to see old patterns of spending, being out of control, not being aware. I see those creeping back in. So then I have to say, okay, I gotta get it together. Let's get it together, Meg. Like, let's sit down and go over your money. So it has made me really good about managing my money, doing the spreadsheets, using Mint, QuickBooks. I know all the things, and I feel good about that. I'm investing with my money now. My money's working for me. It's growing. I have several investment accounts. I have savings. I'm excited to, teach my kids one day about managing money and have like a family money, weekly or monthly meeting. I have money dates that I like to try to do weekly. I'm grateful that I can, you know, shift this in my family lineage and shift the energy around money for myself and my family and my kids moving forward, and make money not so stressful. Make sure I don't put the belief that we don't have enough money, or you can't afford that, or you're out of control with money, or you have to work really hard for money. All of these beliefs that I've worked really hard to reprogram, I'm excited that I get to, gift my kids a better money mindset moving forward. So that's a little about my money story. There's so much more I could talk about, so many more little experiences and moments, but those were like some of the really big things for me that really affected me. And I'd love to hear a little bit about yours. Feel free to share yours with me. You don't have to, this is just for you, but write it down, anything and everything that comes up, and just take some time to reflect and reframe anything that you can, and just become a little bit more aware of your money story.